once again, everybody, welcome back to the Vancouver Aquarium. My name is Madeline, giving you a wave from inside the beluga habitat. How's everybody doing today? Okay, well, I know it's a little bit wet, but you all look lovely under your sea of umbrellas. And I'm wondering if any of you are seeing belugas for the very first time today. Some hands going up. Well, whether you're seeing belugas for the first time or the 50th time, I would like to welcome all of you to our 2 o'clock beluga show. We don't usually find belugas living next to populated areas like Vancouver, but with the help of our fantastic marine mammal training team, as well as our 2 beautiful belugas, we're going to get an excellent look at these amazing whales. I'd love to introduce you to both the trainers and to the belugas. So over here to my right, we have trainer Indy, and on the outside of the glass, we have trainer Janessa. So let's give them a big welcoming round of applause. And, of course, I don't want to forget about the belugas. Over here to my right, we have the beluga Aurora. She is the older of the 2 belugas. She arrived at the Vancouver Aquarium in 1990, so she's been here for 23 years. And in 1995, she became the very first beluga to conceive and give birth in a Canadian aquarium. And her daughter is giving you a wave right now. So that would be Keela. She was born here at the Vancouver Aquarium on July 23rd, 1995. So if you did some quick math and realized that she just celebrated her 18th birthday, you are correct. Let's give the whales a big round of applause as well. Despite the fact that we don't usually find belugas living in our own backyards, our lives and the lives of belugas are intimately connected. If we don't hear sounds like that in the Strait of Georgia, who can tell me where in the world we do find belugas living? In the Arctic, that is correct. Belugas aren't the only animals living in the Arctic. They're joined there by walrus and polar bears, seals and bowhead whales, and of course people as well. The lives of people and belugas are shaped by the extreme Arctic environment in which they live. Well, one of the ways that belugas have adapted for life in this unique environment is developing a unique way of feeding. Belugas have very flexible lips, and they use these flexible lips to direct streams of water at the ocean bottom, where they will uncover Arctic invertebrates like snails and worms and even shrimp-like organisms. And then they use those flexible lips to suck those things out of the water and eat them whole. So that's one of the ways that belugas have adapted for life in the Arctic. And in the same way, people have adapted for life in that Arctic environment. And those of you in the splash zone are getting a little bit of a close-up look at this feeding strategy right there. I mentioned that people have been living in the Arctic. They have done so for over 5,000 years, specifically the Inuit. And just like belugas, they have adapted unique ways of getting the vitamins and nutrients that they require. Who here has had some fresh fruits or vegetables today already? Nobody. Guess it's okay, a couple of you. So we can get those things fairly easily at our local grocery store or markets. People in the Arctic do not have that same opportunity. Instead, they rely on the thick layer of beluga blubber that covers the beluga's bodies to provide them with their vitamins and nutrients. As you can see, this blubber covers the beluga's bodies, and it is rich in the same sort of vitamins, for example, vitamin C. Rich in those kind of vitamins, and so that's how people in the Arctic can get the food and the nutrients that they require. As you can see, people and belugas have adapted for life in the Arctic, but that doesn't mean that life there is easy. In fact, it's getting more difficult. This is one of the ways that we are connected to people and belugas in the Arctic. When we make choices every day, like using electricity or burning gas, we're adding extra greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. And we're noticing this having an overall warming effect on the planet. We're especially noticing that warming at either pole. In the Arctic, the ice there is forming a lot later in the year, and it is melting a lot more quickly. But what exactly does this have to do with belugas? And what does it have to do with people? Well, it all comes down to the food chain. Sea ice has sea ice algae growing underneath of it. That sea ice algae provides food for the Arctic invertebrates that I mentioned earlier that belugas sometimes feed on. Those Arctic invertebrates are also eaten by fish in the Arctic, and those fish are in turn eaten by belugas, who need to eat a lot of fish in order to sustain their lives in that cold environment. So hopefully you're getting the picture that any loss to the sea ice extent, the cover of sea ice, means an impact to the food chain, and therefore an effect on people and belugas. So we've been chatting a lot about the Arctic. Let's move a little bit further south for a moment. I'm wondering if any of you are visiting us today from Ontario or Quebec. Welcome! We're very happy to have you here in Vancouver, Raincouver, I guess we could also call it today. If you live in Quebec or Ontario, it's unlikely that you rely on belugas for food value like people in the Arctic do, but it is possible that you might rely on them for economic value. That's because there are a number of small whale watching companies operating in the St. Lawrence River, where we find another small population of belugas living. The number is about 500 to 1,000. That particular population is certainly in danger and is facing lots of different threats in the St. Lawrence River. This comes because they are living next to some of Canada's most populated areas. Feel free to shout it out for me. Think about it. What do you think might be one challenge that a beluga might face in the St. Lawrence River? Feel free to shout it out. Starts with a P. Didn't quite hear that. Fishing nets, yes, could be a threat for sure. And also, I heard pollution, and that's the one that I was thinking of, so thanks for both of those suggestions. Belugas will face both waste pollution and noise pollution in the St. Lawrence River. In terms of waste pollution, water will wash chemicals and toxins into the waterways connected to the St. Lawrence River, where these belugas can be found. Those chemicals and toxins build up in the beluga's blubber, which acts like a sponge, and sometimes can build up so much that when dead belugas wash up on shore, they have to be treated as toxic waste. Belugas also face lots of noise pollution in these populated areas, and that noise pollution can come from many different kinds of human-related activities, including boat traffic and other industrial things. That is of particular concern in the shallow rivers and estuaries that these belugas migrate into in the spring and summer months in order to get rid of old skin that they shed every year to find food, and in the case of the females, to give birth. It's also in these areas where they can stir up a lot of sediment, making it difficult to see each other. So instead, they rely on sound rather than sight to keep in contact with one another. Here is a demonstration of how comfortable belugas are moving in and out of these shallow areas. Belugas, therefore, are well known for the various different sounds that they're able to make. Lots of different vocalizations, and if we listen closely, we might get to hear some of those right about now. Let's give the belugas a round of applause for those vocalizations. Belugas use these vocalizations to communicate with one another in these shallow rivers and estuaries and out in the ocean as well. And through research here at the aquarium, we learned that the mothers have to teach their babies how and when to make these sounds in these shallow areas. You might not be aware of it, but the Vancouver Aquarium is at the forefront of beluga research and conservation efforts, and none of that work would be possible without the very strong relationship that the trainers work to develop with these belugas each and every day. And to tell us more about that, we're going to pass things over to Janessa.
Thanks, Madeline. Hi everyone, I'm giving you a wave so you can see where my voice is coming from. Working with marine mammals has always been something that I've wanted to do. Now today I'm working with Keela, where I've been fortunate enough to build a strong relationship with her. Our number one priority, whenever we're caring for any of our animals, is always their health care. We're able to do this through our relationships, through voluntary medical behaviors known as animal husbandry. One such type of behaviors that we can do with our animals, we can put them in different body positions or body layouts where we're better able to get a good look at their body. So we can ask them to go into a dorsal present, a pec present, or even a ventral present. And this way we can get a good look at their body, make sure there are no new cuts or scrapes. We can also ask them for more advanced husbandry behaviors, such as urine samples, blood samples, or even ultrasounds, to make sure that they are just as healthy on the inside as they are on the outside. It is our relationship with both Keela and Aurora that allows us to participate in those meaningful research projects to help better protect these incredible animals. Back to you, Madeline.
Thank you so much, Danessa. Let's give Danessa and Keela a big round of applause. Having belugas here at the Vancouver Aquarium allows us to do research with them, and the more that we understand about these whales, the more effectively we'll be able to protect them out in the ocean, which is definitely a big part of our work here. As well, having them at a place like the Vancouver Aquarium gives people like us the opportunity to develop a connection with these whales that we might not otherwise have the chance to do. Has anybody here had the chance to see belugas in their natural environment? I see a couple of hands, but it's pretty unusual, and that's why having them here is very special. I know for myself, working at the aquarium, I felt a greater appreciation for these whales' intelligence, the different ways that they've adapted to their unique environment, and even the personalities that we see between these two whales. We've been chatting a lot today about the challenges that belugas face in their natural environments in the Arctic and in the St. Lawrence River, but we would like to affirm many of the small changes that we're sure you're already making to help these whales. Things like turning off the lights when you exit a room or unplugging an electronic device that you're not using anymore. However, we would like to challenge you to think bigger. In fact, to think beluga-sized changes that you can make in your lives to help these whales. Perhaps you can consider starting a composting initiative at your workplace, or choosing to buy more local products to ensure that less greenhouse gases are entering the atmosphere in order for us to enjoy those things. However, if you leave with nothing else today, we do hope that you leave with the sense that our lives and the lives of belugas are intimately connected. We'd like to thank you for joining us at the Vancouver Aquarium today, for coming to the Beluga Show. On behalf of the belugas, their trainers, and myself, Madeline, thank you so much for coming, and have a great rest of your day here at the aquarium.